Okay, so AI is everywhere, right? It feels impossible to ignore, and it's promising to change, well, everything. But with all that hype comes a ton of confusion. I think the best way to really get what AI is to start by understanding what it isn't. So let's cut through all that noise and just tackle the biggest myths one at a time.
And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? I mean, you see AI writing a poem or creating these incredible images, and part of you just goes, wow, that feels smart. But is it actually thinking like you and I do? Let's peel back the curtain and see what's really going on behind the magic.
All right, so first things first, mind versus machine. Probably the single biggest misunderstanding about AI is that its intelligence is anything like our own. It's just not. So let's draw a really clear line in the sand and break down that core difference.
So here's the deal. For us humans, intelligence is all about understanding context, feeling emotions, being conscious. We get the why behind things. AI, it's playing a totally different sport. It is an absolute master at recognizing patterns. It looks at mountains of data and gets incredibly good at predicting what should come next. And this quote just nails it. AI has no subjective experience. Just let that sink in for a second. It means an AI can process a heartbreaking story, but it doesn't feel sad. It can come up with a brilliant new idea, but there's no spark, no jolt of aha. What we're seeing is an amazing simulation of intelligence, but it's not a real conscious mind.
Okay, so that begs the question, right? If AI isn't actually thinking, how in the world does it write things that sound so human? Well, the answer comes down to this fantastic and kind of funny idea called the stochastic parrot.
Let's break that down, because it sounds way more complicated than it is. Stochastic is just a fancy word for based on probability. So just imagine a parrot, but a parrot that's listened to basically the entire internet. It has zero idea what any of the words mean. None. But it's gotten so good at hearing patterns that it can guess the most likely word to say next. That's it. That's the magic trick.
Yeah, think about it this way. You could teach a parrot to say, I really want some biryani. But does the parrot know what biryani is? Does it know what it's like to be hungry? Does it have any concept of taste? Of course not. It's just making sounds based on patterns it's learned. And that is exactly what an AI is doing. It's all just statistical guesswork with absolutely no real understanding behind it.
All right, let's move on to the big one, the one everyone's worried about, jobs. There's so much fear out there that AI is just going to come in and replace everybody. But the reality is a lot more nuanced. It's really about automating specific tasks, not replacing the whole person.
And this coffee machine analogy makes it super clear. So, old school automation is rigid, right? Your coffee machine turns on at 7 a.m. because that's the rule you set, period. But an AI-driven machine, it's different. It can actually notice a pattern, like, hey, you've been waking up closer to 7:30 lately, and it adapts. It's definitely smarter, but its entire universe is still just making coffee.
So here's what that all means for our jobs. The key thing to remember is that AI isn't a new employee that you hire. It's a new tool, a really powerful one. It's perfect for handling all that boring, repetitive stuff, sorting through a giant spreadsheet, drafting a basic email. It takes that off our plate so that we can focus on the stuff humans are actually good at, making tough judgment calls, thinking creatively, and connecting with other people.
And last but not least, we have got to remember that AI is not some flawless, all-knowing crystal ball. It's a tool, and just like any tool, it can mess up. And sometimes its mistakes are, well, they're pretty weird.
This is probably the most famous and funniest example of how this pattern matching thing can go completely sideways. Believe it or not, some advanced AI models have seriously struggled to tell the difference between a chihuahua and a blueberry muffin. And you can kind of see why, right? To an AI, the little black eyes and nose of the dog look statistically a lot like blueberries in a muffin. We humans know the difference instantly because we have context. The AI, it just has the patterns, and that can lead to some seriously funny mix-ups.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap. Let's really hammer these points home. What is AI not? It is not conscious. It doesn't know things. It just matches patterns. It is not a replacement for your brain and your judgment. And for sure, it is not perfect.
And all of this brings us to the most important point of this whole thing. Once we stop thinking of AI as some kind of magical, super intelligent brain and just see it for what it truly is, a really powerful tool for very specific jobs, then we can finally get past all the crazy hype and all the fear. Because knowing what AI can't do is the secret to really using it well for everything it can do.